Alright, let me tell you why this $230 keyboard from OpenAI might be the most fascinating and baffling piece of hardware I've seen in years. 008. Okay, imagine this: you're deep in a coding session, juggling 5 different AI agents, each running background tasks, debugging code, or auto-generating scripts. Now imagine managing all that without taking your hands off a sleek little keypad that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. That's the promise of the Codex Micro. But here's the question I can't stop asking, dramatic pause: is this actually useful, or just a glorified paperweight for Silicon Valley hipsters? 025. Let's unpack the bigger idea here. We're witnessing the birth of what OpenAI calls vibe coding, a workflow where developers use AI agents as collaborative partners, not just tools. The Codex Micro isn't a keyboard replacement, it's a control panel for managing your AI army. Think of it like an air traffic controller's dashboard, but for machine learning. What makes this wild is that we're now building physical interfaces for software that didn't exist 3 years ago. 045. Now, the hardware itself? Fascinating contradictions everywhere. The 12 mechanical keys with customizable icons, like a brain with wrinkles for adjusting AI reasoning power, those are brilliant in theory. But swapping keycaps feels like disassembling a watch with pliers. And the LED status lights for tracking agent tasks? Super useful, until you realize you're staring at a disco ball of colors trying to debug why your AI just froze on amber. Personally, I think the real genius is the YOLO button that auto-commits code with 0 checks. It's the tech equivalent of yelling Hail Mary while throwing your laptop out a window. 115. But here's where OpenAI shot themselves in the foot. The setup process? A nightmare of fragmented software. You've got controls split between ChatGPT, a third-party app, and GIT Hub-style workflows that make my head spin. This isn't plug and play, it's plug and pray. And while the build quality feels satisfyingly premium, like a Mac Studio with more CNC milled aluminum than necessary, it's impossible to ignore the 2.6-pound weight of this thing when my gaming mouse weighs less. Who's the audience here? Millionaire coders who want to flex their $1,000 eBay resale item? 140. What this really exposes is an existential shift in development culture. We're moving from writing code to orchestrating intelligent streams. The Codex Micro feels like the first draft of a future where programmers need physical tools to manage invisible AI processes. But like any first draft, it's messy. The status lights are genius, but why not integrate voice feedback instead of just LED colors? The MIC button's clever, but shouldn't the device have its own MIC? And don't get me started on the Linux support being an afterthought. 205. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about keyboards, it's about how we'll physically interact with AI as it becomes more autonomous. The Copilot key on Windows laptops? This is the next evolution. But here's the dirty truth: 90% of developers don't need this yet. What we're seeing is OpenAI trying to create demand for hardware that solves problems most people didn't know they had. And honestly, that's what makes this so exciting. It's a prototype for a world where our desks are filled with gadgets controlling invisible digital workers. The Codex Micro might be overpriced and niche, but it's a necessary experiment. The real story isn't the keyboard, it's what it represents about the next decade of human-AI collaboration. 235. Final thought: if you're watching this and thinking I need that for my workflow, you're probably in the top 1% of AI developers. For everyone else, this is a fascinating glimpse into what mainstream coding tools might look like in 2030. The bigger question is, should we be excited or terrified that the future of programming involves a light-up YET button for shipping code? Let me know in the comments, and maybe start saving up for that inevitable eBay price drop. 255.